Yeah, tell me if like I hope it shows up. Um, we'll figure it out. Hang on a second. And then it should be starting. And then let me go live here. Um, we'll hit go live. All right, Brian. I
Okay.
think we're live. I could
Okay.
be wrong. But anyway, thank you, Brian, for being here. I totally appreciate it. This is a follow-up from last week. So last week we came on live kind of out of the blue. We were testing this new platform, bringing you live on all the different platforms at one time, which was really cool. And it worked out. We ended up having about 1,700 people join us live with no notice or anything, which was really cool. And let's just say hi to people as they're coming in. Miranda says, "You're live. Hi, guys." Miranda, thank you for that feedback, because you never know. We're just like, we're both not very experienced at this whole live broadcast thing. So thank you for the confirmation. So far, all we know, Brian, is Miranda is in the room because nobody else has said anything. So this might be Amar says hi. So Amar, and then go ahead and put where you're from, because it's kind of fun to see where everybody's chiming in from. Sandy Lewis says hello. And I remember Sandy from last week. So I know for sure there's one person from last week. She has a goal of starting a beauty school with four instructors, I think, if I remember correctly. Sandy, let me know if I nailed that one or came close. Brian, can you see it? Oh man, gosh, now they're coming in like crazy.
Not a thing.
Yeah, okay, I'll read them out to you. Oh, Brian will be back in a second. Okay, Simek from Orange County, Miranda from the UK, Peter from Tennessee. And by the way, Brian will be right back. He's done this about 3 times in the last 10 minutes where he's bounced out from either hitting the wrong button or the internet is just, oh, here he comes again. All right, here you go, Brian. All right, Brian, let me read some of these out for you. We have Miranda's from last week too, so she was here last week. That's awesome. Laura Garcia from Mattiak, New York. Nace Nasser, hope I said that right, from Hawaii, or he just said hi. I'm not sure if he's from Hawaii or he just said hi. Morale from California, big fan. We got David from Poland, Steve from Boston, Mass. Sandy, you said you're right. I've been writing my goals every day since, and I want to tell you how much has helped me so much. I love you so much. Okay, so Sandy did the assignment, Brian. So we got one person for sure that did the assignment. That's super exciting. Manu from Dallas, Varden from Los Angeles, Kennesaw, Georgia's in the house. Angel, welcome. Mercida from Bosnia, Morocco, Ilias. Hope I said your name wrong. I'm so sorry if I mess up your name. Brian Simmons from Trinidad. I know I missed some. Let me see if I can. Miranda, we already did Miranda. Sedanam from Ghana. Gosh, we got like almost every continent covered, pretty much. Sebastian from Toronto, Canada. Brian from the Netherlands. Love the Netherlands. Toskilo. Vardan, hello. Belgrade, Serbia. I think we already said that one. Anas from Switzerland. Very cool. New Jersey's in the house. Simiak, welcome. Let's read out some more. Dave P. from London, UK, visualizing his goal. That's awesome. Got a Holland in the house. Valaja. And then respect and love from Pakistan, Adnan. Anas from Zurich, Switzerland. Port Toskilo from Port Harcourt, wherever that is. We got Japan, Stingako. I'm imagining, Brian, that I'm not doing very good on some of these names, and I apologize. Marcio Reyes from, okay, we have another one, Brian. Marcio did the assignment and visualized and put the emotions on the goals. That's really cool. All right, we got Cameroon and Anmar. So anyway, Brian, it's working. So I think the stream is working. Let me check one more window here. And then we got Instagram. I'm not ignoring you guys on Instagram. You just happen to be on a different screen. So let me read some of these out, and then we'll get started. We got Kubita. Well, these are they don't really have real names. They're like handles. So lots of people from Instagram. Looks like we got 300 on Instagram and counting. And then if you guys don't mind, we're just getting started. If you have some friends or you want to share the love, go ahead and share this with other people. Like last Saturday we were on here, and Brian and I were just jumping on and just playing with this thing. And it's because of you being here last week that Brian said, hey, let's do this again today. So share it with, if you don't mind, hit whatever buttons you got to share it. That'd be awesome. Let's see if we can beat last week where we had 1,700 people on live. That would be really cool. So Brian, why don't you talk about last week? Because we're gonna have a whole bunch of people on here that weren't on last week. Do you want to recap what the assignment was and just talk about that whole thing and discuss that?
Well, I often joke if I could run onto a stage and speak to 1,000 people and I only had 5 minutes and I give them one piece of advice, it would be this: that when you set a goal, you by writing it down in the present tense, you program it into your subconscious and your superconscious minds. And then the superconscious mind works on the goal 24 hours a day. It activates the law of attraction and it starts to attract into your life people, ideas, circumstances, money of all kinds. In fact, there has been a series of ads online in the last week talking about the 7-second miracle that the wealthy people know that enables them to get rich. And it's simply a mind game or a mind activity. And I would say it doesn't tell you what it is, you have to sign up and so on. But I would say this activity of writing down your goals in a spiral notebook every single day, first thing in the morning, which sort of like sets the program of your mental computer for the whole day, is the most powerful single tool that you have to achieve your goals of success. So the exercise I gave last week, and I'll give it again quickly, is get a spiral notebook like this. It costs $1.49. If you can't afford it, your mother will buy it for you because she wants you out of the house. But you take it, and then on the first page, write down goals, just the word goals, and then write down 10 goals that you'd like to achieve in the next year. And you can just go wild if you like. You want to double your income, lose weight, travel, meet the perfect person for you, whatever it is, write it down. Because whatever you write down here is going to become part of your life and far faster than you can imagine today. Then tomorrow morning, take and turn the page without looking at your previous goals and write down 10 more goals. And keep doing this every day, clean page, no looking back, write down your 10 goals because they will change, of course, because you will forget some, you'll remember others, you will move the order around, you or will move the description, but just write down your goals every day for 30 days. What will happen is that your whole life will change. And people say, well, what if it doesn't work? No, what if it does work? I've been teaching this now for years and years and years. And I used to give a group coaching program, and I charged $5,000 for it. And they would come and work with me for one day every 3 months. It's 4 days in the course of a year. And I charged them $5,000. They said, well, that's a lot of money. Well, they had to be earning $100,000 to attend the program. So I gave them my double guarantee. And the double is you will double your income and double your time off with your family within 12 months if you follow these exercises. Now, there are about 60 exercises that we taught over the 4-day process. But the first process, I would say, let me introduce you to your new best friend. Your new best friend is this workbook. You're going to go out and get it. And this is a test. The test is, do you have the discipline? Do you have the self-control? Do you have the ability to actually go out and make a specific action and actually do this every day for 30 days? Do you know what? Most people can't do it. Most people will say it's a good idea, and then they won't do it. But the ones who do it, when I gave this in my coaching program, I had 1,000 people come through the program over 7 years in groups of 20 or 30 people. Not one ever asked for a refund. Everyone doubled or tripled their income in the first 90 days, sometimes in the first 30 days. They could not believe how powerful this was. They had no idea what was going to happen, and neither will you. But if you ask me if I could, after a lifetime of teaching success in 84 countries to 5 million people, if I could give you one exercise, is the spiral notebook. Get a spiral notebook, write down 10 goals every single day without looking back. And I promise you, it's not going to take a year. Within 30 days, your life will be different. And I'm sure that there's people who actually followed this commitment last time who have already begun to experience differences in their life. And
Yeah, right. Let's ask the crowd here. I know Sandy was here and Miranda and the people that were here last week. For those of you that actually did it and you did the exercise, go ahead and put in the chat what your experience has been already, because you have an opportunity to pay it forward and inspire somebody else that's here live. Like, talk about, like, what have you experienced in the last 7 days? And then if you're here on Instagram, we couldn't get Instagram to work last week, so we figured it out this week. So you're here now. So anyway, Sandy says yes, he's telling the truth. That's what has been happening to me. I've been so motivated and confident with my goals. I wrote down every single day, or wrote. I wrote. Yeah, awesome, Sandy. Good job. See,
thank you,
Sandy,
Sandy.
I had a feeling about you last week. I had a feeling Sandy was going to be the one that did it. That was my money was on Sandy, my bet paid off, Sandy. So thanks for that. I appreciate it.
That's great.
I love being right. I dig it. Who else? I know we've had some other people. Um, Marcio says, I felt like I was more productive and focused on that thing that matters to me. Very cool. Love it. All right. Okay, this is a great question. I love this question because this seems like, can I ask you a tough question, Brian?
Sure.
All right, here's a tough one. And I love this. Okay, this is from Mark. And Mark says, you always talk about success and getting rich, but you never talk about it when it's in a country where the currency has lost 60 times its value and is at war and nothing is working. That's a toughie.
Yes, it is.
What would you say to Mark?
Well, I've taught these ideas in 84 countries, and they always work. Sometimes they work faster and easier in an affluent country that it's at peace with a dynamic economy, and in countries that are having economic problems and are at war, the chances are much less because there are so many things stacked against you. That is why there is a worldwide immigration movement today. Is people realize that it's unfortunate, but I cannot achieve my goals in this country, so they move to another country. That's a big, big decision to make, but it is amazing. In America and in Europe, the immigrants who become wealthy at 5 times the speed of the average citizen who has grown up in that country. Why? It's because they're hungry. The studies at Harvard University asked what is the most important single quality for success, and it was ambition, which is a form of desire. Is you are really determined that you are going to live your full potential. You see other people who are doing well, doing better than you, but they're not better than you. They're no different than you. They have just simply used their inborn potential to a higher level. And what others have done, you can do. The greatest proof that something can be done is that others have already done it before you. So if you look at people who started with nothing and who are successful, that's proof that you can do the same thing. It's not complicated. The keys to success, and I just did an entire program on this earlier today. The keys to success are to find a product or service that people want and need and provide it to them at a price that is higher than your cost of delivering the product, and then repeat. It's it's really simple. They say in shampoo, we've heard that the way that they doubled the sales of shampoo was they said, use this shampoo, wash, rinse, and then repeat. And the word repeat doubled the sales of shampoo, and it's used over and over. Well, what you do is you find a success formula, which will take time. It's like learning a new language, and you'll make lots of mistakes, and you will learn from those mistakes. And then when you find the success formula, repeat, do it over again. Amazon, one of the first $2 trillion companies in history, Amazon didn't make any money for 10 years. They all they had was lessons and mistakes and setbacks, but they continued to grow. And then at 10 years, they turned the corner, and now they're one of the most profitable companies in the history of the world. They started off in a garage with one person selling books online. In other words, if you look at all of your big fortunes today, they all started with one or two people at home. They say that the number one place where top businesses are formed is at the kitchen table because they don't have anything else. So they sit at the kitchen table and they put together a business plan, and then they go out and they sell something to someone. And that's basically the rule for success. Find a product or service that people want and need, and then sell it to them at a price that enables you to make a profit and repeat. It's not complicated, but it's true in every country all over the world. And anything that anybody else has done within reason, you can do as well. Will it be easy? No. That's why 80% of people never fulfill their potential because they're always looking for an easy way to do it. Well, there's no easy way. There's only hard ways. There's actually three types of hard. There's hard, harder, and harder still. But there is no easy way. So be prepared to work long, hard hours for a long time. But the satisfaction and the rewards of success are worth every single amount of effort that you put in.
Brian, I love that. Hey, if you don't mind, can I answer this next one? Because this one I'm passionate about, if that's
Sure.
okay with you. And it fits the theme. So Alfred says, what do we do if it doesn't work? He says, even if I do this, so let me, can I just, I'm going to get nerdy for a minute. And I actually have it up on my screen. So can I do a quick brain science and talk about the brain? Okay. So basically, we have these things in our brain. They're called dendrites. I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm actually going to show them to you. So when we talk about habits and what do we do that's habitual, I'm going to actually show you the science behind it, if that's okay. And give me a second. I'm going to go here, and then I got to go here. So I'm going to share my screen, and then Brian, I'll zoom this in because I know it's like sometimes it's small. All right, can we see this? Okay.
I
All
can.
right.
I don't know what it is, but I can see it.
All right. Well, let me explain it first before let me stop this. Let me explain it first before I show what it is. Okay, so basically everything we do, all the habits we have, everything we do, the breathing, when we breathe the air, we drink the water, we eat the food. Do you ever notice that you tend to do the same things over and over again? Like you don't have to think about breathing, you don't have to think about like having like you don't really notice your breathing until your breath is taken away and somebody's dunking you underwater. Then you're more aware of breathing. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to think about our heart beating. There's a lot of different things that our body does as functions without any sort of thought where we were like, I can't forget to breathe, I can't forget to have my heartbeat today. You just don't have to do that. And what happens is you have these neurotransmitters, these dendrites, and these dendrites are neural pathways, and these neural pathways basically determine everything we do. Now, what Brian told you to do was so powerful because that's actually tapping into brain science. When you do something repeatedly, there's only two ways to create a dendrite or a usable habit. So a dendrite equals habit, okay? All it is when you get something and you create a habit, it's creating a neural pathway that makes it so you can do it and you do it repeatedly. Now, when they say there's 21 days to create a habit, that's actually not true. It's 21 days to create a usable neural pathway because that's what you're doing. You're not creating a habit, you're creating a neural pathway. So let me show you I'm going to show you the actual scan right now. I just found this online just now when I did a little Google search. And this is interesting because this is actually somebody that has a stroke. All right. So you can see here on the top line, this is showing what the neural pathways look like before the person had a stroke, -4 weeks, 2 weeks, 0 weeks. So then they had a stroke. And then you can see this same neural pathway looks different, but then it continues to look different even after. Now, what happened with the stroke, basically, when you have a stroke, it's when the circulation is basically, a lot of times it's a blood clot that travels through the body and causes the blood to compress in the skull. It's basically, it causes all your nerves and everything in your brain, like whatever area, to compress against itself, and it creates nerve damage. So what
Lanny,
happens is
can you make this larger, please?
make it what?
Make it larger because
Sure, no
nobody
problem.
can see it.
Yep, hang on, let me do that. Let me, here we go. How's that?
Okay, and when you describe the different patterns of brain development, tell us what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah. So if you look at it, this is looking at the same dendrites over a time. And my reason for showing you this is because they change, you know? And what happens is when you do something for like 3 weeks, you have a pathway that's usable, but it's still at risk. So I love the question. Alfred says, what if it doesn't work? Well, the thing is with creating a habit, you have to do it every single day. And if you take a day off, you've just reset yourself back to the beginning. Now let's just pretend I've been working out my entire life. Every day I go to the gym, and I've done it for 10 years straight. Now if I miss one day, do you think on the second day I start over on my habit and I got to create a brand new habit from scratch?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Because that if I've done it every day for 10 years straight, it's like breathing. The neural pathway gets thicker and more defined, and it becomes automatic. And then the other thing that happens too with these habits is they don't go away. So if we have like bad habits from the past, so like for example, I'm an alcoholic, okay? I haven't had a drink in quite some time. Now, does that mean that my propensity to drink is gone? Absolutely not. It's still in there. Like it's still in here, right? The neural pathways are there. So I got to be mindful about that. I can't be like, oh, I'm good. I'm not good. I got to be careful because it's all still in there. But the truth is, it's all still in there for our entire life. We add new ones and we create new ones, but the old ones are still there. So if you have a binary choice, and the binary choice is I'm going to do it or not do it, what's going to what's going to win is usually the pathway that's the strongest. Now, there's also some things that affect that. So, if you want to have really good habits, the first thing you want to do is get good rest. Because when we're tired, we default to the lowest common denominator of our habits. Brian, have you ever noticed? I don't know if you've ever felt this way, Brian, but I do. Like when I'm tired, that's when I want the ice cream. I want to eat bad when I'm tired. I'm like, I'm so tired. Gosh, chocolate chip mint ice cream sounds really good right now. Like all the things that are bad for me, always when I'm tired. So one of the key things about creating a habit and actually creating success, believe it or not, starts with sleep. Also, don't be hungry. Like if you get really hungry, then again, any of these like primal urges or body needs, like it sounds silly, but sometimes setting a goal is as good like the just getting a good night's sleep is important, and setting yourself up for success the next day. Anyway, Brian, I just wanted to explain how the science of a habit works, and because what you said is absolutely true, and your exercise with the spiral notebook is actually feeding right into brain science. Now, I'll tell you the other one, which is constant spaced repetition. I told you about repetition, and then let me give you an example really quick, if it's okay, Brian. When I had a heart attack. So I had a heart attack about 6 years ago. At the time, I weighed about 207 pounds. I'm about 173 right now. So that's like 30 pounds ago, 35 pounds ago. And when I wanted to make a change in my body and get in better shape, I understood habits and dendrites. So I knew how the brain works. So I'm like, I got to trick my brain right now. Like, I don't want to create a new habit, but I know I have to. So the good thing is the brain doesn't know quantity. So I committed. I was going to work out every single day, no matter what. And there were days where I didn't feel like doing it. And guess what I did on days where I didn't feel like doing it, Brian? I'm not exaggerating. I would get in my car, I would drive to the gym. And it was about a 15-minute drive. I'd get out, I'd park, I'd go into the gym, I'd grab two dumbbells, I'd lift them, I'd do one set of curls, I'd put them down, and I'd leave. Literally one exercise. But the brain just says, all the brain registers is, you just did this today. You just did this today. You just did this today. So I was basically tricking my brain into performance. So now, like, I don't have to think about like, I don't believe that. I mean, who knows? Again, the old habits are in there. Like I still want to eat pizza and ice cream, but it's going to be more challenging for me to gain weight. I don't even focus on my weight. My habits are different. My eating habits are different. What I put in my mouth is so drastically different than it was back then. No sugar. I hardly ever have sugar. I've had sugar in the last 7 months. I've had sugar 6 times. I've counted. In the last 7 months, I've had sugar 6 times. I'm talking about in anything. So it's like it's a habit. Does that make sense? I'm curious if that. Where's Alfred? Does that make sense, Alfred? So if it's not working, what's really happening is it's working. It's just you're not seeing the results yet, you know, and it takes time. And sometimes on these pathways, they're just not there yet, and that's okay. And then it's really important that if you mess up, go easy on yourself. Like, don't beat yourself up. Don't go, oh gosh, I'm terrible. I'm a terrible person. And because one of the things, Alfred, that I read in your thing was a little bit of self defeat. And one of the things you can't do is be hard on yourself. You just got to chalk it up and say, hey, this is every day we win or we learn. And I just learned. Let me move on and start winning. So, Brian,
And
does that help? Does that make sense?
let me comment, make it simpler. Goethe, the German philosopher, said, everything is hard before it's easy. Everything is hard before it's easy. And that is the test. The test is, can you do hard things? And if you do them repeatedly, he also said that once you do them repeatedly, they become easy and automatic. Now, there's one thing that I've learned over the years, and it's called task completion. It's when you finish a task 100%, washing the dishes, mowing the lawn, doing a report. But when you finish a task 100%, your brain releases endorphins and dopamines, which are nature's happy drugs, and they make you feel happy and energized. If you take a task and you only do it 95%, you've done all 95%, but you don't do it the last 5%, you don't get anything. It's almost like going all the way to the dinner table and then not eating anything. So one of the ways to develop habits and make them automatic and easy is to complete your tasks, is finish up anything that you do. If you drop something on the floor, immediately pick it up and put it where it belongs. If you get up in the morning, remember this famous book by the military general, and he called it Make Your Bed. And what he said is that the first thing you do in the morning is you get up and you make your bed, and you make it beautifully, like in the military. Then what you do is you start your day with one completed task. One completed task activates all the wonderful powers of your brain. And from then on, you want to complete more tasks. Now, with regard to business and success, you want to earn a lot of money and so on. The people who are promoted the most and paid the most are people who are known to take a task and complete it quickly and dependably. Someone once said that the most important ability for success is dependability. I learned this when I worked for a large corporation some years ago, as I noticed that they would hand out assignments and people would work on them and finish them maybe in a week or two. Anytime they gave me an assignment, I did it immediately. I got a reputation. If you want something done quickly, give it to me, because I'll do it fast. I'll start work on it immediately. I'll work late into the evening. I'll work on the weekends. I'll get it done fast and I'll get it done well. So if you want to be successful, you develop a habit of starting and completing your tasks. Now, if you're going to start and complete a task, which tasks do you start and complete? Well, of course, you start and complete the most important task, the one that will make the biggest difference in your life and in the life of your company. And so you ask yourself, of all the things that I can do, what's the one thing I can do right now that will make the greatest difference? And whatever it is, start immediately on that task. Do not do anything else. Don't allow yourself to become distracted, and work and complete the task 100%. That task completion will transform your life. It'll establish all the neural connections. There's a story of a pasture, a farm where the cows walk, and they call this a cow path. And what happens is one day a cow walks across the pasture and leaves a little bit of a trail stepping on the grass. And the next day, another cow follows that little path. Over time, the path gets deeper and wider and deeper and wider. And all the cattle, every time they walk across the pasture, walk across on the cow path. Well, that's what you do in your brain is you create a cow path. You create it deeper and deeper so it becomes easier and automatic for you to do the most important thing first. Once you've done that, your success is guaranteed. Your success is guaranteed.
Love it. Thanks, Brian. And then Jordan says, thanks, Lanny. Just what I needed to hear regarding being tired. Yeah, Jordan, it's funny because excellence can look like a lot of different things. And sometimes excellence looks like rest, depending on the situation. It's, you can, work. But if you're not doing effective work, then is it really working? Like you're putting in the time, but are you really putting in effective effort? So anyway, that's really great, Brian. Thank you so much. Let's go. Let me see if I can find. Go ahead and put a question in. If you're on Instagram and you have a question, throw it in there. I've not done a question from Instagram yet. Happy to do that. And let's see if we can find another question. Go ahead and put your questions you have for Brian in the chat. And then Brian, question for you while we're waiting for questions. Eat That Frog was your best-selling book of all time, I think. Is that right?
Yes, it still is. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Why do you think that book resonated with so many people? And like, why did you write it? I'm curious about that. Like, what's the behind the scenes? Like, what inspired you to write Eat That Frog?
Well, the book has now sold 5 million copies in 55 languages. It was originally entitled Double Your Income, Double Your Time Off, the double double formula. And the publishers changed it to a title that was in the book called Eat That Frog, which said if the first thing you do in the morning is you eat a live frog, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that it's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day long. And he said this would make a great title for the book. And then what we would say is that do the worst first. Is if you start off in the morning and do the most important thing that you can do, the one thing that you're most likely to put off, then your whole day is going to be much better. If you start off your day doing things of low value or no value, then your whole day is going to be pretty much useless. So I wrote a 21 chapter book, and I called it 21 Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Things Done Faster. And what we have found now is that almost everybody feels guilty about procrastinating, and they know the natural tendency. Nobody procrastinates on little tasks. They procrastinate on the big tasks. They procrastinate on the frogs. And so what I do is I teach people step by step to stop procrastinating, to start work on their most important task, and they double and triple their tasks. All over the world where I go and my emails like to hear is people say these same words to me. You changed my life. You made me rich. You changed my life. You made me rich. And I say, well, what was the reason? It was eating the frog, he said. As soon as I started to start and complete my most important task, he said, my productivity went up. My attitude changed. My level of self-confidence went up. The respect of my bosses for me increased. I got paid more money. I achieved more goals. Everything came when I started to complete my most important task first. So what we always say is do the worst first. Do the most important one. The one you're most likely to procrastinate on, do it first. Start with it first thing in the morning. Don't talk to anybody. Just work on that one task. And once you've completed that task, you are off. You're racing. You're almost like a rocket shot into the air. You're now going at an incredible speed. And all day long, you're going to be more productive. Then what you do is you go to your next task. And your next task is now the most important thing you can do before you were called out of town for a month. If you can make the habit of starting and completing your most important task, you'll double your productivity, your performance, your output, you'll double your income, you'll be one of the most respected people in your business, and you'll feel terrific about yourself. So that's why the book sells. And some companies have bought 1,000 copies for every single person. Some companies have created training programs built around this stopping procrastinating and getting more things done faster. And you can do the same thing.
That's awesome. I love it, Brian. Thank you so much. Um,
Now, Lenny, please tell
yeah,
us a little bit about AI. I think we're getting a little bit away from that. And I want people to know that you are an authority. You are our expert in our international company on teaching people how to use AI to dramatically increase their productivity, performance, output, income, improve their business, and everything. Can you give us an example of how an average person can use AI wherever they're starting from to be far more productive? That's really
absolutely. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yep, no problem. Give me 1 second. I'll actually pull up the AI right now. And then Brian, I'm going to actually pull up the Brian Tracy AI because that's what I've created and I love it. So this is a AI that's completely seeded with your materials. So it's an unfair advantage in AI. So basically, and then just um, hang on a second. So the here's the thing with AI, right? It's like has anybody ever have you ever heard of like with computers garbage in, garbage out?
yeah.
That's a terminology. It's like it's true. And the same is true with AI. AI is like this incredibly powerful tool, but it's also garbage in, garbage out. Meaning like what you put in and what you get out matters, like when people it's I've Brian, this has probably happened like at least 15 times because I'm excited about AI, artificial intelligence. Like I'm passionate. I'm dedicating my life to it. It's the most exciting thing that's happened. The internet was exciting to me because when I started my first business on the internet, it was 2000. It was right at the beginning of 2002. Things were just getting rolling, and I was literally flat broke. I mean, I had nothing. I had a borrowed $800. My friend, Amanda. I owed $800 to my friend Amanda, and my friend Andy owed me the $800, and I got the 800 from Andy. Brian, can I tell this story really quick because it's
Sure.
kind of relevant? Okay, so Andy owed me $800. Okay, I owed that $800 to my friend Amanda. I called Amanda and I said, Amanda, um, hey, can I pay you in 30 days? And she said, yeah, no problem. And I said, sweet. And I hung up and I was like, I got seed money. Like I got seed money. I got some gunpowder to work with. I got $800. It's so funny to think about it, but $800 at the time was kind of a big deal. Um, so what I did was I bought some softball bats. They were fast pitch softball bats, believe it or not. I sold them on eBay and I made $500 in a week. And I was like, it was like the heavens parted, Brian. It was like God intervened and said, this is what you were meant to do. You were meant to be on the internet. You were meant to sell stuff online. And at that point in time, I had like the worst horrible people as bosses. Like I had a couple good ones too, but I had some really bad bosses. I hated working for other people. I wanted freedom and I didn't know how to get there. But what happened was is when I made $500, I was just like, "Oh my god, I just made $500." And I was like, "I can't believe I just did that." And I sold them to customers that were all over the world, which made no sense to me. That was the internet. That was the beginning of the internet. Like the barrier to entry for a person like me with nothing, I could compete with the big guys. As a matter of fact, I could compete better than the big guys because I was one guy and I could react fast. Like those big companies, Brian, you know this. You work with some of the biggest companies in the world. They move slow. They're like a cruise ship. You know, somebody at the top is guiding that thing, and some initiative doesn't happen until Q4 of 2027. But I'm one guy. I'm nimble. So basically, I have a
Lanny,
degree in finance. Yeah.
Lanny,
Yep.
many of our people are not that fluent with English. So when you speak, make sure that your language is very simple. For example, nobody knows what a buck is. They know what
Nobody knows what a buck is.
a dollar is, but they don't know what a buck is. So
Okay.
just little things like that. It's really
I
important.
appreciate that feedback, Brian. I'll, of course, I'm such a smartass. I want to say, I had yo tengo no dinero at the time. Anyway, I appreciate the feedback. Okay, so I had $800, not $800. I appreciate that. Anyway, um, my degree was in finance, and I really I got a college education, but I wasn't using it. And honestly, my college education feels like it's been somewhat worthless except for this one moment in time. I knew how money worked, and I knew how money multiplied. So I knew that if I had $800 and I turned that into $1,300, I knew that was an amazing rate of return in that amount of time. I created a spreadsheet, Brian, where I said, okay, if I don't touch the money and I roll it over into inventory and I don't touch the money, at the end of 3 years, it's going to be over $3 million. And guess what my year 3 revenue was, Brian?
$3 million.
No, it was $3.35 million. It was $3.35 million from $800. And the reason I had that juice, the reason that happened was because of the internet. Okay. It was eBay, it was the internet, it was Amazon, it was Overstock, it was all the places it was a wave, right? And then the other thing, side note, Brian, if it wasn't for your psychology of selling, that wouldn't have happened because of the psychology of selling. I was able to sell other stuff and not touch the money. So that's how your program changed my life, Brian. Because I could sell and I had a job selling, I didn't touch the money. I didn't take a paycheck until the second year. Every single thing went back in. And when I did take a paycheck, it was a very modest one. I wanted all the money back in, all the money back in, all the money back
Yes.
in. So anyway, what's my point? My point is AI is better than that. Okay. And the reason why is because you can create value now at a level that is so crazy that has never existed in our history. Now, can I show off a little bit, Brian? Can I show them like
Absolutely.
3 things
Absolutely.
that'll blow their mind? Okay, let me look in the chat and see. Do you guys want something that'll absolutely blow your mind using AI? And this is something you can do, and it's free. Like it doesn't cost anything. So let me grab my phone and let me see if they want it. I'm not seeing a lot of that want this. I think they just want you, Brian. I don't think they're interested in AI. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody here says yes. Okay. All right. Yes. Marcio says yes. All right. So Marcio, this is just for you because everybody else is sleeping. All right. So Marcio, we're having a conversation, you and I, one-on-one. All right. I'm going to show you this cool thing. And Miranda wants it too. Okay. So here's the trick. And what I'm doing, Brian, I'm going to talk about time management and eat that frog in AI, but I want to do this one quick thing because this shows the power of it. Okay. So let me pull up a fresh thread. Okay. So this is a fresh thread. There's what I mean by a fresh thread. This is a thread that has nothing in it. There's no information in it. There's no seeding. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and I'm going to talk into my phone and do the prompt. Okay, so let me go with. Give me a second. Let me think of a good one. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it up on my computer screen so that I can show the output here.
Tell them Lanny, tell them how to load Chat GPT onto their iPhone. Just
Yeah.
hold it
Okay.
up.
Yeah. It's on the iPhone and the Android. And it's really important that when you download it, that you download the actual Chat GPT and not all of that other crap that's out there. So what people do is when you get to the App Store, whether it's Android or Apple, there's all kinds of people that have created these GPT. Make sure you have the actual Chat GPT from OpenAI, and you'll know it because the logo looks like that. Okay. It's a little black circle like that. So make sure it's the actual app by OpenAI, not one of these imposters, because what the imposters do is they try to sell you stuff and they have limited, there's limitations. So just use the regular Chat GPT. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to show you something. And this is a product that could be sold, I think, but let me go. Okay, so what I'm going to say is this. The first one is, Yep, Brian's got it.
See, this is what I got this from Lenny. Very easy.
All right. Okay. And then we wrote a book, Brian, last week together in like an hour. That was crazy. Okay, here we go. I want you to come up with a meal plan for me for the week. And I have some things that I want to follow, and I have some preferences. Okay. Some things that I want to follow are I don't want any processed sugar. I don't want anything from a bag or a box. I want to eat healthy. I like the book I can't talk. So the other thing too is you can screw up and keep going and it doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna keep going right now. I'm prompting in here and it doesn't matter. I want to follow the Starch Solution by Dr. McDougall because that's a good framework for eating. And I want you to create a 1 week meal plan for me and no processed sugar. And I like Calabrian chilies. I also I like food that's kind of spicy but not too spicy. And I also want dairy substitutes. I don't want to have any dairy in my diet at all as well. And you know what? Let's leave the meat out as well. I'm gonna go with a whole food plant-based diet. So go ahead and give me a 7-day meal plan. Okay, so there's my prompt. Okay, now I'm going to show you what it's doing on the screen. So I'm going to pull it up on my computer right now. It's give it a second. It's doing its output. It'll take a minute. But the thing is you can talk and speak your prompt in there. And then Jordan says, I'm in the right place. Yeah, he did pass away, which is really sad. Dr. McDougall and the Starch Solution is awesome. Yeah, this guy, Brian, this Dr. McDougall just passed away, age 77, but he had a stroke when he was like 17 years old and probably wouldn't have lived to 25. And then he got into health and was a big pioneer in healthy eating. So the point is, and Jordan, I don't know if you picked up on this, but you can add frameworks into whatever you're doing. So, which is a really powerful process. And I'm waiting for the prompt to come up, but it's not coming up. Why is it? Hang on, let me hit refresh.
Let me comment, please, Lenny.
Go ahead.
What I've learned is that all the information in the world is in the cloud. And when you ask a question of your ChatGPT 4 is what I use. When you ask a question of it, it can access all the information in the world to bring you an answer. It is so phenomenal. Before, we use garbage in, garbage out, as you said. You could only process what you put into it. What you had programmed into your own computer was the only information you could access. But when you, for example, ask these questions of a complete meal plan based on a doctor's work, the AI can literally reach into the cloud of all the information in the world and stream it to you in a matter of split seconds. It's phenomenal. Last week, I decided I was going to demonstrate that I had finally learned a little bit about using AI. So I decided to write a book. I decided to write a 12-chapter book on relationships. And I've asked AI, please give me a good title and then 12 titles of the chapters for a book like this and what would be in each chapter. So it gave me a title and 12 chapter headings. I said, well, now could you give me a little bit of an expanded version of each of the 12 chapters, which it did, about 200 or 300 words each. And then could you give me a complete chapter with 2,000 words of 12 chapters, and which it did, and spewed it all out. In less than an hour, I had a 22,000 word manuscript ready to go to press. And it was highly detailed, very well organized, extremely effective, full of valuable concepts and ideas. And everything was in about 1 hour. Can you imagine that? Anybody watching this, can decide to write your life story in 5 or 7 or 10 or 12 chapters and just ask ChatGPT to help me write my life story. Give me a good title for my life story, and it'll give you a title. Give me some good chapter headings for my life story. It'll give you chapter headings. Fill in what what happened in my life story in my different chap, and it'll sort of spew it out faster than you can even imagine. So it's absolutely remarkable. And then when you apply it to business, the possibilities in business are beyond imagination. Okay, you cannot even imagine them. However, as I said last time, AI is like the internet. It's a tool that you must master. It is part of the modern world. It's going to be difficult. It's going to take time. It's going to take sacrifice, but you must master this AI so that you can do remarkable things and save yourself enormous amounts of time and money in achieving the same goals. So I just wanted to pass out. So you should know why we're sort of having these talks together. It is to introduce you to AI. It is to show you that AI can be a very rich part of your life. I'm 80 years old and I am technologically handicapped. I have a hard time doing almost anything on a computer. However, with AI, I could write a book in an hour. What used to take me six months took me 1 hour to write the book. Is it as good as the book that I would rewrite 5 times before I sent to the publisher? Maybe not as smooth, but it's very close. Go ahead, Lenny.
Yeah, Brian's absolutely right. So let me show you what happened here, and I'm going to just bring you through a series of prompts, right? So let me share my screen, and I'm going to show you the output. Some of you guys are going to be on phones, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to blow it up as much as I can for you people that are on mobile, but there'll be a limitation here. But let me blow it up. So the prompt, as you noticed, I spoke the prompt in and gave it a guide. Here's my prompt, right? And I remember that I screwed it up too. Like, it's important to hear this. You don't have to be perfect. So I was talking, I fumbled my words. I put stuff. See, I even put in, you can see the prompt says, you can talk and screw up and keep going, and it doesn't matter. That's all in the prompt, right? I didn't stop. And then, basically ask for what I want. So here's day one breakfast. Let me blow it up just a little bit more. Can you see
Please.
that, Brian?
Yes, that's much better.
So day one breakfast, oatmeal with fresh berries, flax seeds, and a drizzle of maple syrup. Lunch, quinoa salad with black beans, corn, cherry tomatoes, avocados, cilantro, and a lime dressing. Snacks, carrots with sticks with hummus. Dinner, sweet potato and black bean chili. And then it's one after the other. Day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, all the way through. But now let me show you what's really fun. You ready for the fun part? So here's the fun part. Now is when the fun begins. All right. So watch this. What's the problem? Like, what's the problem now, Brian? I have this thing. What do I need for my next solution? I probably need to I need to know how to cook this stuff, right? I need to know how to make it. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes.
All right. So here's my next prompt. Here's my follow-up prompt. Please give me all preparation and cooking instructions for this 7-day plan. Please make them detailed and easy to follow so that if I was a third grader, I could do it. Thank you so much. All right. Now I'm going to ask it to give me all of the preparation instructions. And you can see here, right here, it's coming through. Ingredients for breakfast: 1 cup of rolled oats, 2 cups of water, a handful of fresh berries. I'm going to show you as soon as it's done with the prompt. It's still outputting. I'll show you on the screen here in a second. It's still outputting. You can see it go on. See it cranking through. As soon as it's done, I'll hit refresh on my screen. And I'll just take a minute.
And everyone who is online who has an iPhone can do this literally in 1 or 2 minutes.
It's free.
Yes, it's free. Just download GPT or ChatGPT 4 and push the button up in the corner and start, and then the microphone down at the bottom, and start talking. And it'll record and it'll answer any questions that you put into it. It's a matter of seconds before you go from not using ChatGPT to using it competently and getting great results.
Yep, still going. It's on day 5 right now, so it's cranking out. You can see though, here, let me stop the presentation on the screen. And then this way, but you can see it.
Yeah, that's a good angle.
Yeah, see that? Oh, did it get stuck on day 5? I must have ran out of space. I'll proceed. I must have ran out. Day 5 continued. There it goes.
Now, Lanny, if you wanted to print this out, how would you send it from your iPhone to your computer and printer?
Yeah, I'll show that in a second, Brian. Basically, when I'm working with AI, I'm using my phone like a walkie-talkie. So I'm talking into my phone, and then I'm using my computer as a workspace. Sandy, no, there's no fee for 4.0. It's actually included now with the basic version. There should, unless that changed in the last few days, Sandy, there is no fee for ChatGPT 4.0. All right, so it's almost done. That was a long prompt. It's still doing all the instructions, but I just want to show you. Look at that. So there's all the preparation instructions. So the first, for those of you that just joined, I asked it to create a 7-day meal plan. Okay, now it gave me all of the instructions. So now I'm going to come over to my screen here. I'll hit refresh on my screen so you get to see the output. And now let me share my screen. And then go entire screen and go here. And then here is, so here's the cooking instructions. Let me go up to, so here's an example, right? So this is day 6. Day 6 is a smoothie bowl. Ingredients: a cup of spinach, a cup of pineapples, 1 cup of almond milk, granola, kiwi slice. Instructions: blend spinach, pineapple, and almond milk until smooth. Pour into a bowl, top with granola and sliced kiwi. Lunch: roasted vegetables and quinoa. 1 cup of quinoa, 2 cups of water. Boom. Instructions: rinse, in a pot. All the instructions are here. Okay. Every single cooking instructions for the 7 days. So let's have some more fun. Brian, can I take it another step? You want to see something cool?
Absolutely. I'm fascinated.
All right. So check this out. Well, what do we have? We have a meal plan, and we have all of the cooking instructions for 7 days. The next thing we need is a consolidated list of all the ingredients, because we got to get all these items, right? So what I'm going to tell it to do is this: please make me a consolidated list of all these ingredients for the week, including quantities, so that I can go get these at the grocery store, I want you to know that I actually live in the zip code 85083 in the United States. So why don't you make some recommendations on what stores I should get it at, since you pretty much know everything. So watch this. Let me look at this. All right, let me stop the screen share, and here we go. Here's the grocery list. Produce, all the quantities, 3 cups of berries, all of it right there. Every single thing from the meal plan right there on one list to go get at the store.
Does it give you a recommendation for a store?
Yeah. Now here's the stores: Sprouts Farmers Market, Trader Joe's, Safeway. It actually has the stores too. So there's Miranda, you missed the cooking instructions, because that was actually step 2, was the cooking instructions. So here's the reason why I wanted to bring that up. So Brian, first of all, how long, if you and I were going to sit down and do a 7-day meal plan and cooking instructions and a detailed list of every single ingredient and quantities for the entire week, how long would that take us?
Probably a full day.
Yeah, it'd be a nightmare. It'd be a nightmare for me. I wouldn't want to do it. And the truth is, neither one of us would do it, right? If I wanted to sell this as a service, now this is where the business thing comes in. If you can deliver value, and you can deliver it easily, so imagine, what could you sell that service for? Would somebody pay $5 for a meal plan a list of cooking instructions and a complete list of ingredients that they could go to the store as a service. So imagine how much time that would save somebody. Now, I'm not saying go start a meal planning business like this, but what I'm saying is the ability to deliver value like this and charge this much. It literally took us 3 prompts. It took us like, it was like a 1 minute worth of me talking into a phone. It almost took no work. So to me, Brian, that's the big opportunity with AI, is the fact that you can leverage yourself, you can leverage everything you do at a level that just wasn't possible in human history, you know?
See, customers are all the same. We are all customers. We want to get the very most for the very least. We want to save time and money in achieving all of our goals in life. What AI is going to do is going to enable us to achieve at a very high level of accomplishment in almost no time at all. It's going to save us so much time that we can then use on other activities that will pay us much more. It's a great trade-off. What it means is that, and I teach this in my marketing courses, is that basically helping people with AI is free. No matter how much you charge them, they're going to get a far higher return on the amount they pay you than they're going to pay in terms of money. $5 in order to save 5 hours and get much, much better information than they could get on their own. So there's going to be so many opportunities. Just like Jeff Bezos, the opportunity was to sell books at a discount and to send the orders to the publishing companies who sent out the books. I mean, that started Amazon, which is now worth $2 trillion. Just one idea is to serve people better, faster, cheaper, easier, so that you don't have to go to the bookstore yourself, or now for 300,000 other manufacturers all over the world, you can order it and get it within 24 hours. Anything, anywhere. Remember, people are always looking to save time and money in achieving the same level of satisfaction. And AI is going to enable them. It is already enabling people to save time and money to achieve the identical goal. I could not believe that after writing book after book, taking 3 to 6 months to write a book, I could write a book with AI in 1 hour and have it ready to go to the publishers. And it's very good quality. I mean, I'm just shaking my head. We say SMH, SMH, just shaking my head.
Yeah, I love that, Brian. It's like, I've had so many people in my life that are resistant to it, and they're like, "Well, the Terminators are going to come and take us away," or they have a lot of fear around it, because especially because of Arnold Schwarzenegger and that whole like AI thing that was kind of before its time, when you think about it. Um, but whether you fear it or not, it's going to happen, right?
That's
Like,
right.
this is coming. Whatever it's gonna be and whatever it's gonna become is gonna happen. And I really think that, and I'm not trying to be a fear monger, because that's not my personality type, but I really think that people that don't embrace this as a tool, are gonna be in trouble in a lot of different vocations. I wouldn't want to be an attorney right now that isn't embracing AI and making myself more efficient. It's funny because I've actually written motions to the court. I had a court case, and I was tired of paying my attorney for it, and it was a stupid thing. And I started like having it write my motions to the court, and I had it include precedent, and it has the entire catalog of precedent of every case that's ever been in the court system. So it would do its thing, and it was according to the 1937 finding of such and such and such and such. So it added in case law precedent, Brian. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And then, I show up to court, and I'm kind of like, I wonder if this is going to work. And sure enough, the judge was like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense. I'm going to approve this. I was like, okay, great. It was pretty funny. And then let's talk about, I can go to, do you want me to do kind of eat that frog AI? We can talk about that.
Well, you might just pause and take a couple of questions.
Yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea. Let me look on Instagram. because that's on a different screen because it doesn't. So Uri says, thanks for doing Phoenix seminar. I watch it frequently and try to apply everything you teach. Let's see. Okay, Sparkle with Jen says, I've been resisting AI and I'm working on embracing it now. And then, just if you want to keep AI easy, just know that you can always just redo it. If you don't like what you get, just say rewrite and, oftentimes the first thing it gives you might not be the thing that it lands on, but you can always just say redo it and this, and give it instructions until you keep doing it. All right, let's see. Poria says, wow. Lifa Brew says, I love it. Let's see. Chasing the Sunset. Mr. Tracy, how are you doing? I don't see any questions on this side, but if you have questions, go ahead and put them in. And then, so Sarah Lou, does the content you create with ChatGPT or other AI programs belong to you? That's a good question. That's a great question. I'm not an attorney, so I'm guessing. I'm going to guess the answer to that question, Sarah. I'm going to guess there's certain things that are still there's still protected material, So like, and Marley, oh gosh, Marley, I'm just going to hope your name is Marley. Marley says, do we publishers allow AI to publish books? What about intellectual property? These are really great questions that I don't have a ton of answers for because I'm not an attorney. What I'll say is, if you're creating something, like Brian said this before many times, that when you write a book, Brian, remember what you said last week? You said you're doing research. Can you explain research again? Like when you're getting from a lot of different materials, it's research. If you
Yes,
do it from one source, it's plagiarism. Isn't that what you said?
that's right. But remember that it has to be word for word copy to be plagiarism from a copyrighted material. As a professional speaker, people often ask me, well, can I use the things you said in your seminar in my seminar? And I said, well, I studied it, and it turns out that you cannot copyright the spoken word. So if somebody said it aloud, it's public domain. It belongs to the world. If you write something down, and by the way, anything that you write down is automatically copyrighted. What you do is you register the copyright just to be double secure. But if a person has written it down and it's copyrighted, then you can't use it without permission. You can use excerpts, but you can't use large amounts. However, when you ask Chat GPT a question, it pulls from all the information in the world, and what you get is a synthesis of ideas that is not like anything that has ever existed before. So you're really not plagiarizing, you're just simply taking research. Plagiarism is from one source. Research is when you take it from multiple sources. And what AI does is it takes the information from multiple sources. So therefore, it's an original synthesis that you own, and you can actually copyright that, and then nobody can take that, but they don't need to because with AI, it's always brand new, complete new synthesis every single time.
Yeah, and then Brian, Marwin asks on Instagram, how can we utilize AI in sales and making sales funnel that work? So well, let me say two things about this, Marwin. This is a really good example, a really good question. Number one, it still helps if you're an expert. So to me, there's still no substitute for being really good in a topic or a subject. For example, like I happen to be a digital marketing expert. Like I am known for creating sales funnel that convert at a very high level. Like that's my sweet spot. That's my jam. I'm really good at it. So what AI does for me is it helps me create things much faster. And also because I've been doing this so long, I can also recognize what's good and what's not good. So a lot of times, if you're trying to, so his question was like, how do you use this for sales funnels? The short answer is where people don't do the right thing is they don't give it the right seeding. or the right material to prep the thread. As I'm getting a little technical, each time you open a thread in ChatGPT, it should be its own thing. It should be about one topic and one topic only. So this one that I just had about the menu and the shopping, like, I don't want to start talking about car tires. This is about food, eating, meal planning. That thread is just about that, right? So don't mix your stuff. So everything has to have its own thing, right? So that's one thing. And then to answer Marwan's question, how do you utilize it to most effectively? Is it's called seeding, SEEDING, like you plant a seed, okay? And the seeding process, and this is where I'm super excited about your work, Brian, and why we were able to create some crazy things. Let me show you an example of seeding, right? So like this, I'll share my screen in just a second. This is really cool. I think it's really cool. So let me share my screen. I'm going to share my chat GPT, and I'm going to go on to the Brian Tracy How to Write a Book. Okay, this is an example of something that I seeded ahead of time using Brian's content and Brian's materials. And that's why I'm so excited, Brian, at the things that we're doing together using AI. So Brian has this product called How to Write a Book. It sells for $500, right, on your website. It's $497. What this does is this whole GPT is seeded with all of Brian's materials to write a book. So Brian, I'm going to mute you for a second, if that's all right. Hang on a second. Well, I'll mute you. Brian, you're muted, but anytime you want to talk, unmute. I was just muting because of the background noise. Okay, so it's called seeding. What this GPT does, this GPT is seeded with all of Brian's materials around how to write a book. The entire program, the $500 program, is in this thread, in this GPT. And all we got to do now to write a book is press the button. So the first thing, the conversation starter is right here. It's this thing right here. Oh, let's see if I can do it. Hang on, let me refresh because it's not pressing for some reason. Whoops. Sorry, Brian. Let me unmute you so you can. All right, there you go. Why isn't this working? Hang on a second. I'll do it on my phone, and then I'll hit refresh. So I'm going to the GPT, how to write a book. I'm hitting that button. Here, I'll show you on the screen here. And then I'm going to hit, so here's the GPT.
Right.
And there's the starter. Ask me 15 questions. So what it does.
Where is the refresh button?
Yeah. So I just hit the button and it says question 1, list 3 valuable ideas, insights, and instructions you could offer the reader of your book. And what the process does is the process is asking the person who's using the GPT, it's asking them all of the different things of what they want in this book. Now, I don't want to go through this. We actually did this last week. We went through and Brian wrote the first 3 chapters of a book live. If you want to go back 1 week on Brian's social media channel, you can watch that. It's from a week ago. It was last Saturday. But we went through this process. But the point is, it asks 15 questions, and then it uses all the seeding information, and then it outputs a book based on Brian Tracy's, all of his methodology, which is amazing. So kind of going back to Marwan's question, or really anybody, if you guys like, give me a vocation in the chat and I'll give you something that you can do using AI. We can just riff on it. Okay. So for digital marketers, what you want to do is you want to put all of the information you know about your clients in the somebody swore in the chat. I didn't say it out loud. Good thing I wasn't just reading blindly. But what you want to do if you're a digital marketer is seed the chat with lots of really great information. I have so what I do is I have 30 questions that are like an intake. So if I take on a client and they want me to build a sales funnel for them, I have 30 questions I ask them and get the answers to those questions. I put that in. And then once I have those questions, I have 73 pages of prompts that I run on that material. And that does avatar work. It develops the avatar. It develops the fears, the hidden fears of the client. It goes really deep. And once I've done all that work and I have all that deep psychology and deep information, then I start asking it to do stuff. Okay, then I say, I'm creating an email sequence for a product. The product is XYZ. The big benefits are, this, this, and this. And I want you to write an email sequence. Now, I want you to write the emails. It's going to be 4 emails. I want each email to build on the other one. I want to open loops from one email to the other so the reader really wants to see the next one. I also want to use the framework of Andre Chaperon's soap opera sequence framework in the writing style, and I want to write it in the style of Gary Halbert. Gary Halbert, by the way, is a legendary copywriter, one of the godfathers of copywriting, one of the best copywriters that ever lived. After all of those instructions, so after I've seeded it and after I've given it those instructions, the emails are ridiculous. When I was writing emails, if somebody wanted me to write emails, I usually charged about $2,000 an email if you want me to write an email for you. And it took me about, the first draft of it took me at least an hour, hour and a half. And then Brian, when I was writing emails, I would do 4 or 5 drafts of that email. Now, is AI going to write an email that's better than mine? The answer is no. Like those emails, and Brian, I wrote emails for you. I don't know if you've ever read them. They were spectacular. And they talked about your whole story and your journey across Africa and all that stuff that almost nobody knows about. Those emails took me like 2 weeks to write. If I was going to write those same emails right now, I could do it in 15, 20 minutes. And it literally took me 2 weeks to write those emails. So, it's just a huge time saver.
I'd like to jump in here.
Yep.
2 points. I don't know if you know, but I started off my career as an adult as a copywriter for a major agency. So I'm not unfamiliar with copy. And yes, you do write great copy. I'm a great appreciator of good copy. The second point is that with regard to, I lost my train of thought. With regard to sales, the question was, how can I use AI in sales? Well, the most important ingredient in sales success is trust, is that the prospective customer likes you and trusts you and is willing to take a risk to buy your product or service. How do you build trust? Well, what you do is you do research on the client before you meet them. So you would put in and ask, tell me about this company, tell me about this industry, and whatever questions you ask, and then AI will pour out all the information you need, the industry, the statistics, the growth rates, the problems, the difficulties, and so on. And if you put in the name of the company of the person you're going to be talking to, they'll give you information that's wonderful. And when you meet with them, you say, I've been doing some research on your business because I wanted to be able to speak intelligently when we met and talk about some of the things that you found that are opportunities for them to improve their business with your product or service. People will be blown away by the fact that you've done this kind of research before you met with them the first time or before you telephoned with them and so on. There's nothing worse than speaking to someone who has not lifted a finger to do research on you and is now wants to sell you their product or service and charge you a lot of money. But there's nothing more complimentary than if you approach a new prospective client having done your homework. So that's basically the summary. Do your homework, and AI can enable you. I used to have to go to the library and go to what is called there's a section called with the magazines. What do they call that? Magazines and publications. And I have to go through and do research in published goods, and that was how you did your research. Today, nobody goes to the library, or you go onto Google and you can get a lot of information. But with AI, because all this information is in the cloud, all you have to do is just say, tell me everything about this company, and everything they have ever published in the world is in the cloud, and it just spews down, just like Lanny was showing you the diet recommendations and food and where to get it. Everything comes out. It makes you sound like a genius when you approach the customer, and it builds their trust and their believability with you at a level that was never possible before.
Yeah, it allows a level of customization. You know, Brian, too, like, so we're talking about a sales situation. Like I could have it write a sales script right now. Give me a list of questions I should ask. Here's my product, here's my customer, and then apply the framework of Brian Tracy and the psychology of selling. I know this is can be done because I've done it. I actually created a sales script, Brian, using all of your training for a sales team. It was hilarious. And it literally took me like 3 minutes. That same again, and it was great. It was like, okay, give me all the stages of the sale, give me all the questions to ask. Boom, there you go. Um, the other thing I was going to mention, the other thing I'll mention too, Brian, is one of the things that we're not here to do. Like, just so you know, like we're here to, you know, Brian's here to give you value and make your life better. Um, Brian, is it okay if I share what we're doing with AI, just in case? Because I see some people. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is like Carla says, I need to learn more about this. And there's several comments on here about people that are like want to get better at using AI. Can I give them some information about the? I won't. I'm not going to do a Brian Tracy AI pitch, but can I at least put the info in case somebody wants to jump in with our team and talk about it?
Well, one of the reasons why we are opening up the screen to all of our friends is to introduce you to AI and to give you an opportunity to learn about it. And Lanny is our resident expert. So, absolutely, Lanny, please tell people what they need to learn and the process of learning it through your facilities.
Yeah, basically what we're doing is there's two steps to it. The first step is to get literate, is to kind of learn the moves. If it was a sport, if you think of it like a sport, pick a sport. If you're playing basketball, you need to learn how to dribble. You need to learn how to pass. You need to do a bounce pass. You need to do another pass. If you're a baseball player, you need to learn how to throw. You need to learn how to field. You need to learn how to hit. You need to know how to stand when you're hitting. You need to know how to set your weight up and shift and rotate and get power. It's one thing to get up there and hit the ball. It's another thing to really load, and torque your body and spring and explode. Okay. You can tell I play hockey too. I play hockey and baseball still at age 55. So these are skills that are developed and learned. Well, AI is the same. I've already given you a few, just some real basics, but the first thing is um, the first thing I saw a comment and it distracted me. It was like bizarre out of nowhere. People are so funny on the internet. You get everything. Anyway, if you have negative stuff, just leave. Like just go away. Sorry, can't stand negative people. Anyway, so the first thing is learning the basics, right? Is getting the moves down so you get a skill set to where once you have the skill set, now you can do a lot of different things, because there are some basic skills required. The only skill that you have to have, the only thing you have to be able to do in order to do it is you have to be able to talk. So that's the minimum requirement. If you can't talk, actually, if you can't talk, you could still use some sort of device, I'm sure, to actually do it anyway. But I'm being sarcastic. What I mean by that is there's no technology skill required. Like Brian says, and I can vouch for you, Brian, that you're extremely technically challenged, right? And I'm not gonna get into specifics. Just know that, believe me, he is
Thank you so
technically
much.
challenged. I promise. That is the truth. So you don't have to have any technical skills. That's the beauty of it. You just have to talk. When I was doing my prompts, I don't know if you noticed this, I wasn't typing them, I wasn't thumbing them, I was talking them. I never, never, ever, ever do any prompts where I'm writing I'm not tapping on a keyboard, I'm not thumbing it out. That one thing, for those of you that are on here that are experienced with AI, if you do that, that one thing will absolutely change your prompts and the outputs that you get just by talking. So then the question is like, what do you say? And what we do is we do two things. We bring you through the process of all the different things and how you can use frameworks and how you can get the seeding right and how you can really leverage the tool. But then the other thing we have is a community we're building, and the community is a bunch of like-minded people. And the power of a community as it relates to AI is this: I'm really good at marketing and entrepreneurship. That's what I've been doing for the last 25 years. There's going to be other people in the community. There might be somebody that's a CPA that is like, I'm really good at accounting. And another person might be like, I'm really good at graphic design. Another person will be like, I'm really good at, XYZ. But my vision for this is we have a community of experts that are really good at super niched things. And within those niches, we help each other and leverage each other and grow each other's ability to do a lot of really amazing stuff. And I'll give you an example. I was a hacker in the 80s. So Brian, I actually, when I was in high school and middle school, for that matter, in the 80s, I was a hacker. So what we would do is, like, I'd go to school, and when I would leave for the school in the morning, I'd set my computer up to dial phone numbers all day. And my computer, this is back in the days of, like, not kidding, the modem, the speed was like, I remember when it went from 14,000 characters per second to 28,000 characters per second. It was like, no, 300 baud. The first modem I had was 300 bits per second. Now, to put that in perspective, 300 bits isn't even a 1,000 bits. That's a third of a K per second. Literally, you could see the screen. You could, as fast as it could transmit, you could actually read it at that speed. It was so slow. But what we did was I would set my computer up, it would find computers, and then once we had a computer prompt, Ann says, LOL, Lanny, the dark ages. Yes. Ann, were you there with the modems? Anyway, when I got home from school, there'd be 3 or 4 computers. I'd found them. And then what we did is we created these, I had what was called a bulletin board system back then. It was a BBS. And we had a private message board, and we together as a team would hack into these systems. So what one person would do, Brian, is it would, like, I got past the command prompt using this. When I got past the command prompt, I did this, and here's where I got, now I'm stuck. And then the group would come in and say, okay, well, have you seen this? Have you done this? And then we would all make progress together. Well, I see this as the same. Somebody has a problem. Like, let's say Ann, who recognizes the dark ages of computing. Let's say Ann comes to the table. Ann, what do you do? Put it in the chat, and I'll use you as an example if you don't mind. What's your vocation? What do you do? Or somebody, just throw in your vocation, and I'll grab somebody. And then somebody says AI can steal people's personal details. That's not true. Like, AI, if you use a reputable AI source, that's where, just to address that really quick, that's why I said go to OpenAI and make sure you get the actual OpenAI ChatGPT. Don't get one of the knockoffs, because you're right. If you get a knockoff, then you could be at risk. All right. So Ann is a coach. Okay. So Ann's a coach. Let me see. Where was I going? Okay. So Ann is a coach, and or Adnan is real estate marketing. Let me do Adnan's first. So he's a real estate marketing expert, right? So he's got a problem, and he's in our community, and he's like, I need more leads for XYZ. Adnan, I'm assuming you want more listings, right? That's a common thing for real estate. And you're like, I need to help with listings. What are some ideas? Well, then the internet marketer expert that might be in the community, this guy, comes in and says, oh, have you tried this? And it's a collaboration, a community of collaboration, where people who have problems, we help solve problems using AI together as a team. So anyway, that's kind of what it is. I don't feel like I did a really good job of explaining it, Brian, so I apologize for that. But the bottom line is like, the people that are in this group are going to be learning with you too, Brian. That's a key aspect, is you're learning it along with everybody else. And I think, wouldn't you say this is probably the first time people are learning with you instead of you teaching? Or have you done that before? Is this the first time?
No, this is the first time. Actually, you are the master teacher here, and I am one of your students, and we're inviting other people to become part of the student body as well.
Yeah. And so that's what we're doing, and if it's something if you're interested in the information, I can put it in the chat. If nobody's interested, I won't put it in the chat. I only bring it up because there are people that said, hey, I want to get better at this. And then Miranda asked a good question. How much is it? That's a great question. We have like 3 different levels for companies. It's 30,000 for the year. Now, this isn't one of those business opportunities or biz op things where it's like, we're like, somebody that joins as a business, what we're doing for the businesses is we're actually like helping them be more efficient. So like a business has 100 employees, for example. If we can show them processes and systems that can save 10% of their payroll, that 10% of the payroll could end up being $1 million a year. That's the type of person that would be at the 30K. And then we have two other levels. One is at 10 and another is at 2. So the minimum investment's about 2,000, and there's also a 10K level, and then there's a 30K for business. And if you do the business, you have to have a real business. This isn't a business opportunity. I don't believe in that. So that is not that. So I'll put this in the chat, and I'll just put it in right now. And this is to get on with a member of our team. So you can talk to one of our people, and they're amazing people too. There's no pressure. There's no pitching or anything like that. They're really great people, and they're in the journey as well. So we'd love to have you join us, and join Brian if you're interested. Again, we didn't get on here to pitch that, but I'm only bringing it up because people are asking. Marcio says interested. That's awesome. And Meredith interested. So anyway, and then the other thing too is this is a small group. So this isn't one of those things where there's going to be 1,000 people. You'd be working very hands-on, very intimate setting. So this isn't one of those deals where you're going to show up once a month and, whatever. So anyway, I don't feel like I did a good job of explaining it, Brian. But Brian, do you have any thoughts on it? Or
people must realize that the first thing they do is just simply talk to one of your consultants to find out if this is a good fit for them. And then the second step is for them to reach out and become a member of our group and begin learning how to use AI at the highest level possible for them. But the starting point is simply to interview with one of your guys and find out if this is the right thing for you. As you say, we're not trying to sell anything so much as we're trying to help people master the skills of AI so that they can dramatically improve their own productivity and ultimately their own income. So the first step is to just reach out and get some more information.
Awesome. And then next, I'm happy to jam on a little bit of AI. If somebody has something they want to work on with their life or business, go ahead and put it in the and Janine says on Instagram, she says, this tool can save me so much time. There are endless benefits to the program. One of the other thing too is that we're also taking all of Brian's content. I shouldn't say all of his content. We're taking his key programs and we're turning them into custom GPTs. So for example, if you join our program, you're going to get the book writing GPT. You can write a book. You're also going to get the one-day MBA GPT. So we're basically taking all of these and turning them into GPTs, which is pretty cool. And then Adayinka said, how can I be a member of the group? I'm just posting, and I'm not trying to spam post, but I'll post it in the chat again so you have it. And then the confident and fearless lady said, is this recorded? Yeah, I think so. If you just look on Brian's social channels, this is just basically a social post, I think. So if you want to watch the whole thing, feel free to go back and watch it. And then Knowledge is Power said, thank you to me for facilitating the session. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I know that if you are in the same situation, you do the same thing. You're welcome. And I know you do the same. So it's my pleasure to do it for you. And I love that I get to be on with Brian. Like if you did, Brian, I don't mean to get emotional, but if you'd have told me 25 years ago that I'd be on here with you, I absolutely would have told you I don't believe it. I read your book, Maximum Achievement was the first book I read of yours. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But if you'd have told me that I'd be here right now with you, I absolutely would have been saying, if somebody said it, I would have said, you're a liar. It's not even possible.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Well, our friends, I think, have one common denominator, is that they're all ambitious. They're all hungry. They all want to improve themselves and to live a great life. and that requires being a player in the economy of today, which means it requires learning how to earn more money, and then you can hold on to that. So we found that we call it MMM. Everybody wants to make more money, and our job is to show you a skill, a technique, a technology that you can use in every part of your life to be more efficient and more productive. And this is a skill you have to have. And there's early adapters, and then there's late adapters, and then there's people who never adapt. and and so your job is to be an early adapter, is to get on board, because this train is leaving. If you don't get on board, somebody else will, and you'll end up competing with someone with one hand tied behind your back, and that's no good.
Yeah, Brian, can I tell you a funny story about that?
Sure.
Um, so when I started the business on selling stuff on the internet, 20 some years ago, uh, I'll never forget this. My mom, first of all, I wasn't making any money anyway. I was flat broke. I was really crappy at my job. Um, and I remember my mom, when I quit my job to do the sell stuff on the internet, she told me, she goes, "Are you crazy?" She said, "Are you crazy? Why would you do that?" And I just said, "Mom, this is something I believe in. This is something I want to do." And I'll never forget that. And the reality is, the people in our life, when we go to do something different, they feel like they're loving us by telling us we can't do it, and that we shouldn't take chances and we shouldn't take risks. You know what I mean? Like, they mean well. Like, my mom was loving me in the way that she expressed love. Now, a funny thing happened, Brian. So a year later, it was a year and a half. I was on the front page of the Arizona Republic, which is the biggest newspaper in the state of Arizona. On the front page of the business section, there was a picture of me, and it says, "My name hits home run on the internet," you know? And it was on the Sunday paper, and I'll never forget waking up that morning. I can play it like a movie right now. I get out, I see the phone ringing, and I'm like, "What? It's my mom. Why is she calling me at 6:30 a.m. on a Sunday? Like, what's wrong?" So anyway, I pick up the phone. She goes, "Oh, son, I'm so proud of you. I always knew you could do it." She said that. She said, "I always knew you could do it." I'm thinking to myself, no, I remember this conversation very vividly. You said I'm crazy, right? And what I'll tell you is that, the people in our lives that love us by being negative, they're the same people that are going to be our biggest cheerleaders when we succeed, you know? So I didn't hold that against her. It's just that they have a vision for sometimes the people outside, like in our lives that are closest to us, have a vision of what we're capable of that isn't accurate. Like, my mom knows me as the drunk. She's like, she knows me as the alcoholic teenager and 20-year-old that fell asleep in parking lots. So based on the history of me and my stupidity, she had a legitimate reason to think that I was crazy for doing it, but she didn't know that I was capable of something bigger or something more. You know what I mean? um, and I was. So, if you have people in your life that are challenging you on your beliefs, I would say, remember that those neurotransmitters, those dendrites, are fragile, and we have to protect them. So be careful what you allow into your life, and don't let it affect where you want to go and who you want to be. So anyway, I just felt compelled. I felt like there was one person on that needed to hear that. There's just like one of those things. I was like, there's somebody on here who has somebody in their ear that isn't saying nice things. And if that's you, I'm here to tell you, you can do it. Okay. I believe in you. Even if that person doesn't, I do. You can do it. I know you can. So anyway, Brian, I just wanted to share that. Um, and 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 now my mom and then it's so funny too, because I think of some of the experiences that have happened with my mom. I flew my mom out to Hawaii. I rented a place on the beach for a month in Hawaii. My mom came out, and she's gotten to experience some of the blessings of the success, and she's nothing but a fan. I get no complaints. And
Um,
then don't judge the people that are hating on you. If they're hating on you, it's their own limitations. It's their own fears, their own limitations. It has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with you. So,
Lanny, the
yep.
the work in psychology by Abraham Maslow says that there are several levels of psychology that you have to go through one after another, and until you're satisfied at one level, you can't go any higher. And the first is safety or survival. If that's threatened, you think of nothing else. The next level up, if you're safe, is security. And security means you think and you worry about security, financial security, life security. And the great majority of people don't get beyond security. And that's the challenge with your mother, with my mother as well, is that they think more about security, playing it safe, than they think about opportunity and taking chances. It's only a very small number, less than 20%, that's willing to actually take the risks that are necessary to be successful. And if you have to remember that, nobody at the levels of safety and security ever really accomplishes anything because they're so preoccupied with security that they always want to play it safe. So with new technology, with new opportunities, with new products and new markets and new customers, you're going to have to move out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to try things where there's no guarantees. And this need for guarantees holds more people back than any other single factor in the whole world. So the people who are watching us today are almost all people of an entrepreneurial mentality. They think in terms of opportunities and possibilities, and they're willing to take a chance. You don't need to take a big chance. You don't need to jump out of an airplane with no parachute. What you do need to reach out and go beyond your comfort zone. And one of the things is staying current with the modern technology. And this is the most important technological breakthrough in our lifetimes. And you're going to have to master this. You have to move out of your comfort zone and you're going to have to master this technology in order for you to realize your full potential. For you to become everything you're capable of becoming, you have to be fluent with the technological tools that are available to you. And it's just a matter of time. The time is going to pass anyway, as we said before. The time is going to pass. The question is, are you going to be moving with the time or are you going to be left behind? And what Lanny has done with his team is made it possible for anyone to become fluent with artificial intelligence. And after that, you can build and build and build. So, Lanny, why don't we wrap it up for today? And why
Okay.
don't you just leave us with a message on what a person should do as the next step?
Yeah, if you're interested in joining the team, I'm putting a link in here. I'd say that the step is to go ahead and schedule an appointment. Like I said, there won't be any obligation, no nothing. I'll throw the link in the chat one more time. And I just want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for being here. If you didn't show up, we wouldn't have done this again. So thank you for being here. Because of you, Brian's here. If you guys wouldn't have showed up last Saturday, we wouldn't be here today. Here we are, and we'll definitely. Brian, are you okay if we do this again sometime? I'd love to do it again.
Absolutely. I love spending time with our friends.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. If you don't mind, you can share this. That would be really awesome. Like whatever the button is on the platform that you're on, if you could share it, that'd be great. On YouTube, you can hit the bell for notifications. I know that one. Yeah, share it or do what you got to do. Like anything you can do to share it would be awesome. We really appreciate it. Thank you again so much, and we'll see you next time. And thank you, Brian. You're amazing, and I echo the sentiments of every single person that said great things about you, and there's been a lot of them. Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate you,
Thank you,
and we'll
Lanny.
see you next time.